I literally just woke up like 3 or 4 minutes ago. I rubbed my eyes and I put my glasses on and I started recording. I just wanted to hop on before this video starts and say some things that I've been thinking about overnight and the thoughts I had this morning. Before that, let's all appreciate and celebrate the fact that I am laying on my side. I've not been able to lay on my side for like over a week. I've had to just lay on my back when I sleep, and I'm a side sleeper, so being able to lay on my side right now is a big accomplishment. And you'll learn why in just a minute. But I wanted to preface this video with just a quick, like, kind of trigger warning, sorry. Yeah, I'm not awake yet. This video will contain subjects of eating disorders, as well as self-harm and suicide. So if you're here for art, or if you're not in a good place and this video will not help you and would hurt you, please click off of it, okay? I mean, if you're here just for art, you can click off of it, or you can stay, that's fine. But if this video will actively hurt your recovery or encourage you to continue to be sick or something like that, please click off this video. There's some resources down in the description that I'll put in, like Nita, maybe some YouTubers that helped me when I was struggling so much with some of the topics in this video. Check them out because they're very smart and they've been through it and they have more things out there than I do. But yeah, I just want to quickly get on here and just say those things and say, no matter what you're struggling with, you're not alone. And there are people out there who want to help you and who do love you. And it's your responsibility to take care of yourself. You need to advocate for yourself. It's not your fault, the things that you're struggling through, but you do have the ability to help yourself, even though it's really hard sometimes. Yeah, I just want to quickly come on and just say that if you feel like nobody loves you, I love you. And I hope that this video can help someone. So, I was planning to make a different kind of video for today, to be honest. I wasn't sure what kind of video I was going to make, but I was going to make a different video than what I'm making now. Happy New Year! Let's start from the beginning, because that seems like a good place to start. In 2019 was without a doubt the worst year of my life so far, but I honestly don't think that there's anything that could happen that would be worse than 2019. So in 2019, I broke up with my boyfriend at the time. We'd been together for about 6 years, had a house, and was planning a future. And I realized that our paths were going parallel to each other, but not together. We had some future goals and some life goals that were very different. And so we broke up just to be, not, I don't want to invade his privacy or anything like that, but we broke up and I moved into a friend from work, her house. I stayed at her house from January to March or February. It's very hazy and I have a really hard time remembering much of anything of 2019. But I moved out and I stayed over at her house. She is a saint. I honestly don't know what I would have done without her, but I stayed there for a while. And then I needed to find a place to live. I needed to find an apartment. And this friend's brother also was looking to move out, but needed a roommate. And so we decided, because he was living at her house too, we decided to get an apartment together. And that's, well, January is when it started. I'm not going to make any money from this video if I ever get monetized. So starting in January, I won't say any weights or anything throughout this entire thing, but starting in January, I started to restrict my eating. And I went to a psychiatrist's office to see somebody about like some depression that I was dealing with at the time, because it was such a big life change, you know, leaving someone you've been with for 6 years. Or was I? So to get a therapist, you had to go through the psychiatrist at this place before you started seeing someone. And she had me stand on a scale, and I told her how much I weighed. And I think that's when it really started, when the numbers started to mean more than they should have. And I began restricting. And in February is when it really started, when I started restricting my eating and started to exercise. In March, it progressed to only having 200 calories a day and exercising for at least 4 hours. In March also, I went to New York City with some work friends, but I do not remember the trip whatsoever. The only thing I remember is waking up at 5 a.m. every day that we were there and exercising in the dark and not eating. I had thoroughly slipped into the grips of anorexia nervosa, and I was down to so few calories and exercising so much that by May I could barely walk half a mile without getting dizzy and falling over. So malnourished. And the eating disorder took everything. It took all of my memories. It took all of the friends that I made at work. It took my work away. I could no longer work. My organs were going to shut down. I had done terrible damage to my body. My hair was falling out. I was so unhealthy and so sick. And I will not tell you how, like, what my lowest weight was, because we're not about to get into that, because that's just fuel for comparison. But I did a video call with my parents in early May, and we had decided that if I was not going to come back home here to my parents' house, I was going to die. I was very close to death's door. That's how sick I was. And so we packed everything up. I had to get out of the lease that I had with my roommate. It was very difficult and it was really hard, and I feel so bad about having to get out of the lease. And then all of a sudden, all of the costs landed on him. And I still feel bad to this day about that. And I will always feel that guilt, as I will always feel the guilt of missing out on my life, of choosing my eating disorder over everything else. It was even over art. I drew nothing in 2019. I barely picked up a pencil at all, because I was too busy starving and exercising. So in May, we packed everything up. We moved back here, and I unpacked, and I had to start over. I had to choose to eat again, and I had to choose to not exercise, and I did not exercise at all from May to December of 2019, and it was just eat and rest, because I had done so much harm to my body, and I hadn't seen a physician about it. I didn't have any counseling with it. The only the resources I had were all YouTubers online who are fantastic, and I'll link their channels down below, because they really saved my life. But halfway through the year of 2019 was just me getting better and having to do it on my own. And it was hard, and it was difficult, and it hurt. It was terrible. I wanted to die. It was just horrible. It was not good. And the eating disorder thoughts, didn't go away. They never go away. I still have them 2 years later. So what started happening at the end of December 2019 in early January 2020 was I began to abuse laxatives and fell more into like bulimia. I was eating, I was still, timing my meals, being restrictive, being very cautious around food, being scared of food, and then I put in laxatives on top of that, and I started to exercise again. However, I wasn't exercising extremely. What I did, instead of like using Pilates and Tai Bo, which is how I was exercising, was I would start going on these walks that were 5 miles in one direction, 5 miles back. I was walking for hours on end, and I was slowly able to bring that walking back to just like an hour a day, but my use of laxatives doubled. And so all of 2020, I was addicted to using them. And I could not go through my day unless I went for my walk. I took my laxative in the morning, took my laxative in the evening, and took it at night as well. I was overdosing every single day for an entire year. And 2021 came, and I was still in the same boat. My life had not changed, except for I started to introduce Pilates and Tai Bo back into my life. But I was able to not overdo it. I do like maybe 30 minutes a day, and then I had to stop because, frankly, I would remember 2019, and that mental pain kept me from going too far. So that's what I was doing every day until December of this year. December, I decided I wanted to start running. And so I started running on top of the walking and the use of laxatives, the overuse of them, the very dangerous overuse of them. And I was keeping my secret. I was just trying to go along, trying to not restrict, trying to just be okay, and it was day by day. But I was still terrified of food. I am still terrified of food. I still have safe foods, I still have unsafe foods, and I honestly don't know if that'll ever go away. I had gotten references for people around this city that will do Medicaid and help with eating disorders, but I put off calling anybody because I didn't want to change, because I wanted the control. And my eating disorder was telling me that I didn't need it. I wasn't sick enough. I wasn't in a dark place. I was fine. Everything was fine. You know, I was eating. It was fine. Nothing, it was fine. And on the 28th of December of 2021, I woke up in excruciating pain at 6 a.m. in my lower abdomen. It was the most painful thing that I've ever experienced. And they were just cramps. They were horrible cramps. And I was just moaning and just flopping around inside of my bed for an hour. And then finally I was like, this is getting worse. The pain was getting worse and the cramps were coming on faster. And I went upstairs and I found my mom. And she was up because she was dropping off my sister at the airport to visit my other sister who lives in another state. Anyways, and I came in and I couldn't speak. The only thing that I could do was just scream and scream and scream in pain. And my parents bundled me up, put me in the car, and drove me to the hospital. And I was in the emergency room. You know, they started pumping me full of pain relievers so that I could talk, because I couldn't talk, I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything but scream and moan. I was gone. The pain was just too much. They did a CAT scan. Yeah, that's right, they did a CAT scan. And what they found was that my colon had twisted. And that's what was causing the pain, was that my colon had twisted. They were very confused. They said, this is something that doesn't happen to people your age. What do you think, what's been going on? And we figured out that it was the laxatives. Because of my addiction to them, I ended up having a twisted colon that had to be untwisted and fixed. This is where it's going to get a little graphic. Sorry. So on the 28th, they did a colonoscopy, which is where they go up your butt with the camera and they look around. And before the colonoscopy, you have to do an enema, which is where they squirt saline water up your butt to make you poop. Very embarrassing and painful in my case. So they stuck the camera up there and they found the twist and they were able to untwist it, and they gave me some anesthesia for it, but it didn't really knock me out all the way. So I could feel my colon being untwisted and it hurt a lot, but I was so out of it that I couldn't tell anybody that it hurt. It was horrible. It was like I was just paralyzed and someone was jabbing like an arrow or like a spear, you know, into my colon. And so they got it untwisted, which was very good, because what was happening was not only was it twisted, but it was cutting off blood supply to like the rest of my colon and my intestines, and that would be really, really bad. Really bad. So they got it untwisted, and then the doctor said, well, we got it untwisted, but there's an 80% chance that it will twist again in that spot, because it's a very weak spot, and it's a spot that has been elongated because it twisted, and because of the laxative abuse, it elongated the colon and damaged it permanently. So I was going to have to get that section of my colon removed surgically. I had a sigmoid colectomy. So they said, all right, so this has to happen. And in order to have that happen, I needed to be in the hospital, of course, obviously. And they needed to clear everything out of my intestines and all my digestive tract. It had to be clear. So all like poop and stuff had to be gone. And so what they do is they make you drink this stuff called Go Lightly, which basically just flushes everything. So on the 29th, I was given this stuff to drink. I think it was the 29th. Might have been the 30th. I think it was the 30th, but I was, I was pretty out of it, so I don't remember exactly which day. But I had to drink a gallon of this Go Lightly stuff, and this Go Lightly stuff is very nasty. It is not good. It's kind of slippery like oil, and I don't know what it tastes like, because they said it was so gross that what they did is they put Crystal Light lemonade packets in the thing that I had to drink, and I drank a gallon of this stuff within like an hour, so it's like really fast. And so they put lemonade packets in these things. Maybe it was 2 hours. I just remember it was horrible, and it was just mug after mug after mug after mug of this nasty lemonade Go Lightly stuff. And I will never drink lemonade again. It has been ruined for me. So I drank all this stuff and they said, you know, we might have to get another gallon out because it's not clear yet and it has to be clear. Luckily, we didn't have to open the extra gallon. Thank the stars. Ugh. And it was really painful and really humiliating because every single time you use his bathroom, the nurse had to come and see what happened. And you had to actually go to the bathroom in like a container, not the toilet. It was horrible and so embarrassing and awful. More often than not, the person that had to check wasn't actually a nurse, but a CNA that was sitting with me. And the CNA, I had a sitter that sat with me for 12 hours in the day and 12 hours at night. And all the cords and all the electrical things in the room had to be removed for my safety because of the mental illness that I have. And maybe I'll talk about it in another video, but for right now, I think we should just stick with this colon thing because I have a lot of other things to talk about, but there's just not enough time. Anyways, and so there's always a sitter with me, and it was really awkward because they would have to check on my poop, and then they'd have to just sit in the room and wait for me to poop again. And they sat with me all day, and it was just really awkward and horrible, and I couldn't close the bathroom door. I wasn't allowed to. I had to have someone watch me the whole time. I had a couple of showers, and one of the sitters was very adamant about me always being watched, and so I had to leave the door open, and she stood there and watched me shower, and it was very degrading and humiliating. And we'll get into why that is later. Maybe next video we'll talk about it, if you guys haven't already clicked off and are bored. Anyway, so I had to drink all this Global Lightly stuff, and I was said, all right, so you're clear now, so tomorrow we'll do the procedure. So the procedure was set for the 30th, and the surgeon came in and said, okay, it'll be like from like 9 to 11. And the noon comes around and he says, he came back and says, okay, so we have lots of cases that are emergency cases before you, so like 1 to 4 in that time frame we'll have your surgery. So I was like, okay. 1 to 4 came by, and then 5 came, and then he came around at 6 and said, so we had to push your surgery to tomorrow because we just have too many emergency cases to take care of right now. And I hadn't eaten all day because I was meant for this surgery. And so when he said that, I was allowed to eat like liquids. So I had like vegetable broth and apple juice, and that was all I had for an entire day. And then the next day he comes in and says, okay, so we have to push it back between like 1 and 4 again. And then he comes in around noon and says, we have to push your surgery to the 31st. And I think I'm getting all these times wrong. I'm really sorry about that. I'm doing my best to not get all of everything so confused. But it was put off again, and they had me drinking the Go Lightly stuff again. But this time I only had to drink 1 liter of it, so like half of the gallon, pretty much, versus the whole gallon. It was horrible. And I didn't eat for an entire day again. And I'm not going to sit here and lie. Not eating felt really good. That part of my brain that still sits with that eating disorder was really happy about not eating. It fed that disordered thoughts. I knew that they were wrong, but they felt good. And it was really hard to fight with them and say, no, this is not okay, this is not okay, we need to eat, this is not okay, this is not okay, this is for surgery, this is not permanent, you will be eating. And it really took all of me to not want to slip back. Anyway, on the night of the 31st, they've finally decided that I didn't need a sitter. The psychiatrist came in, social workers came in, they came in like a couple times, and they said, oh, she doesn't really need a sitter. It'll be fine. She can be in the room by herself. She's not going to harm herself or anything like that. I didn't put any of the cords or any of the stuff back, but they just let me be alone for a night, which was really nice. And they said, all right, so the first definitely is going to be when your surgery is, between 9 and 11. So I woke up on the 1st, around 9 a.m. And then at 10 a.m., the transport came to get me and took me down to the surgery. And I talked to the anesthesiologist. They put me under, and my colon was cut and restitched together. A funny thing that I forgot to mention, when I went to the hospital, they took me off of my birth control. I was taking birth control because period wasn't regular. It was just really annoying, and I could never predict it. And it was just frustrating, and my mood would be so, like my hormones would like affect my mood so much that it was interfering with other medications I was taking. So I started taking birth control. It was actually helping. But when I went into the hospital, they wouldn't let me take it. So 2 days in, so not the 20th, but the 30th, my period started. And it was really, really heavy. And so I had to have my surgery while also on my period. And it was really awkward Because when my period started, I had a male nurse and a male sitter. And I had to say, like, hey, guess what? So, my mom, who had been visiting me every single day because she's an absolute saint, and I love her and she's wonderful, and I would not be alive on this earth without her. Not because she just birthed me, but because of everything else. She's just amazing. So she brought in some of my supplies because I use a menstrual cup. So right before the surgery, I was like, hey, do you want me to take the menstrual cup out? Otherwise, you guys are gonna have to do it. So they let me take it out, which was really nice because I had another male nurse and they were like, he probably won't appreciate having to take that out of you. So anyways, sidetrack. But I went under and they did the procedure. I woke up in my room again, in my bed, with 4 incisions in my abdomen. I have one on my belly button, one to the left about 4 inches away, one to the right about 5 inches away and a little bit lower, and then one about maybe like 4 inches below the belly button. It's about this long. It's like the biggest one. It's the one where they like put the forceps in and we're like, open you up. And that one's so annoying. It's like swollen all the time, and they used surgical glue to glue everything down, and it's like not flat, and it like catches on stuff. Oh, it's so annoying. I really hate it. And then the one on the right is really annoying because it feels like it's being tugged inward all the time when I walk. Oh, it's so annoying. So anyways, I had the procedure on the 1st, and I stayed there underneath their supervision until the 4th of January. And then they sent me home. And I can say comfortably, I'm eating. I'm going to the bathroom, which is the important point. I'm doing okay. I'm mending well. I'm able to move. I'm able to walk around. But for the next 3 weeks, I can't drive. I can't do any extraneous exercise. I can't lift anything over 20 pounds. I have to be very careful bending over. So basically, for the next 3 weeks, I have to take it as easy as I can. And for somebody with a background of needing to exercise just to get through the day, this felt like a death sentence for me. And I have to be okay with it. I have to sit and I have to rest and I have to heal. I no longer have an option. I had 2 years of an option to quit what I was doing, and I didn't. And as a result, my colon twisted, and now my digestive tract is going to be changed for the rest of my life. And for the rest of my life, I'm going to have colon problems and colon issues. And that's how it is. There's nothing that can be done except for what happened, and that's it. I permanently changed my body for the rest of my life, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to suck. Now I no longer have the option to use a laxative. I can never use a laxative again. Otherwise, things will get bad, and I could die. Pretty much. I no longer have the option to not eat anymore because it would upset my digestive tract. I no longer have the option to do the eating disorder behaviors because I had damaged myself too far. However, as embarrassing as what happened did, because it is embarrassing to talk about your digestive tract, your intestines, and your colon. It's really embarrassing to talk about it with strangers. Not a lot of people want to talk about poop. But that's what happened, and so that's what we're talking about. Anyway, so yeah, I permanently hurt part of my body. However, I'm glad that it was only my colon. I could have hurt my heart. I could have hurt my bones. I'm pretty sure my bones are hurt. There's osteoporosis in my family, and I can already feel creaky that I didn't feel before I started my eating disorder. Parts of my body are forever changed because of that. My metabolism is changed. My guts have of course my guts have changed. I've been talking about it now for forever, but I'm glad that it was just what it was and not something worse, because it could be worse. And now I'm on the mend. And I've been putting off talking about my eating disorder because I felt shame from it, and I felt guilty about it. And shame and guilt and secrets kept me from being open, not only with myself, but with my family and my friends. I wasn't talking about these things, and I should have sought help before I got to this point. I should not have been able to get to this point. You shouldn't have to have a colonoscopy until your 60s or maybe late 50s, and I'm getting it now in my 20s because of all the damage I did. But I am so thankful that it was just what it was, and I grieved. I grieved for a while about having to give up my eating disorder permanently because I no longer have the choice to do it. There's no way that I can go back now. Absolutely no way. No matter how much I would want to go back, no matter how many times I would think about it, I can't anymore. I physically can't. I emotionally can't. I can't go back there emotionally. It was so dark and so terrifying and just so encompassing. There's nothing that could convince me to go back. Like, actually convince me. Sure, tease me, yes, but actually bring me back to that point. There's nothing that's worth that. I gave a year of my life away to it, and I refused to give it any more time. But yeah, I grieved, I cried, I felt all the emotions, I thought of these horrible thoughts, but pushed those away because they're not helpful. Those thoughts are not helpful. They're not there to give you comfort or anything. They're just there to make everything worse, these unhelpful, dangerous thoughts. Push those away and let my feelings come through. And yeah, I mourned for a good while, but the last day or so, I've been able to come out of that grieving process. I had to grieve. I had to go through all the stages of grief. It was not only like mentally exhausted, I was physically exhausted. I could move around, but like not very well. I still don't move around too well. And I probably won't for like another 3 weeks because, But I emotionally let myself let go of it. And it's not all the way gone. It's still there, but it's way quieter. It's like the dial turned down. I still need to talk with somebody about it. I have some references, and it's something that I need to do. And it's something I plan to do once I get better. Right now, I'm pretty out of commission for like everything, but like eating and sitting and reading. Even working on my computer is really hard because I have to sit on my lap and I have to like crunch over. It's crunch over like a little goon on the computer. But I was thinking how lucky I am because I have a brand new colon, basically. And I get to start over from scratch, which is really fucking hard. Just saying, it's not an easy thing to start or restart, but it's almost like a computer. Like I had a hard restart and my operating system, my old one was wiped clean and now I have a new one that was put in place. And this new operating system, this new way of life, my new colon, I'm excited. I know that sounds really silly. Like you just had part of your body removed and you're permanently like kind of damaged. Why are you excited, you freaking weirdo? I'm excited because I get to restart. I get a restart. I get a redo. I can redo this. I get the chance, the opportunity to start over. And that's really exciting. It's exciting that I have these new ways of living that I have to get used to and all these things, sure, but now I can have time for the people that I love. I will have time to be with them. I will have time to do art and be fully invested in art because I won't have this distracting thing anymore. I can nourish my body better and it's going to work better for me. Right now, it's not working the best, but I get the opportunity to heal it. And I don't know a lot of people that can say that, can say, I get a redo. Isn't that exciting? I'm actually very happy that I get this redo. I'm not happy that my colon twisted, no, but I'm happy because now I have another reason to get better, and it's a strong reason. But I'm happy about it. I know that sounds so weird. Anyway, I guess I just wanted to say shit happens, but there's always a chance to fix it. And I guess the other thing, sorry, I had to move a little bit and it kind of hurts. I guess I just wanted to share what had happened and what I'm going to be dealing with for the next little while, and to just be transparent, to stop hiding what happened in 2019 and why I'm here. I've been trying to like skirt around it a little bit, and I'm just tired of that. So there you go. That's why I moved back in with my parents. It's because I was basically killing myself, and that needed to stop. I truly believe that eating disorders are a form of self-harm. I truly believe that. They're just horrible. And I guess what I just want to say to anybody who is struggling right now with eating or with their mental health or, anything, you can be surrounded by optimism and you can have all the help in the world, but it's you yourself that has to choose to get better. It is your choice to get better, to change. And no one can make that choice for you. You have to make it yourself before it gets too far, before you hurt yourself too much, before you hit rock bottom. I've hit rock bottom. I hit it in 2019. And it's not a good place to be. It's really not. It took me hitting rock bottom to realize that that I needed to ask for help, that I needed to change my life, and I needed to learn how to ask for help before I hit rock bottom. It's very important to ask for help before you get to your lowest point. And it's hard, and you can hear people talk about things, you can watch videos, you can do all this reading, all this research and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it's you that has to decide what is the most important thing to you and what you want. And you have to fight those battles. And sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose. But the important thing is to never stop fighting. You are in a war, and you're going to win. And in war, you lose a couple battles here and there, but you're going to come out on top. I'm not like a motivational speaker, and I'm not I'm not a role model at all. All right. This is just something that I wanted to get off my chest. And if people have questions, I'm more than willing to talk. But just know that, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a therapist. I'm not somebody who's licensed to help with these things. But I do have a lot of experience. And I've been through coming back. I've been through coming back from rock bottom and doing it on my own. With help, of course, with family, but mostly on my own. And I truly believe that it has changed who I am, mentally, physically, obviously, and emotionally. I, of course, wish I never had my eating disorder. I don't know if I can say had right now. I'm just trying to heal. I'm not trying to analyze too much. I'm just trying to get through it. It's just something that I wanted to kind of get off my chest and talk about why I'm lying in bed, and probably why you'll see me lying in bed. Maybe, I don't know if I'll be able to produce any art videos anytime soon because I can't really draw and I can't really get to my studio right now. I have some things here at home, but all I have is my phone. I don't have my good camera, so you might just get some talkie videos for a while. Sorry. I know. But we'll get back to art videos. Don't worry, we'll get back there. We'll get back there. We'll get back there. Actually, on the day that this goes up, I will be traveling to like a nearby city because it's like here's the main city and then there's like 3 or 4 like little outcroppings around this city, and I will have 5 of my Oceanica pieces showing at a civic center from January 11th through May 3rd. May 3rd. I didn't realize it was going to be that long. I was hoping I could enter them into some other things, but I guess not. So I'm preparing for that, and on this day on this day when you watch it on the 11th, I'll actually be at the Civic Center, having had a ride from my mom, because I can't drive for the next 3 weeks, or go anywhere alone for the next 3 weeks, pretty much. And we'll be dropping those off. And today, when I'm talking, we got some new frames, because the frames there are kind of crappy, and they're not going to last for that long. We got some art supplies from the studio. We drove there today, so that I'm not going to, rip my hair out in, a day or two, and I can't draw, and I don't have anything. So I have some things I can do. But yeah. I'll try to take some photos or videos of that process, and it'll probably be next week's video. Anyway, I know, not very funny, but I felt it really necessary to share what was going on, because keeping it a secret is just harming myself again. And I just want to be vulnerable, and I want to be open, and if anybody has questions or just is curious, I'm willing to talk, just send me a message. And yeah, if you're out there listening or watching, I feel for you. I really do. And maybe I don't have exact experience in what you're dealing with, but I commiserate. Anyway, I need to eat dinner, and we were going to watch Disney's Encanto tonight at 7, which is pretty close to now. So I'm going to leave for now. You'll see me next week, unless you don't come back, and then you won't. But if you do, I don't know. Yeah, sorry it wasn't funny. Anyway, and that is this video. I feel like my new level of embarrassment, what embarrasses me, is really different now, because so many people have seen me naked and my poop in the last week and a half. It's very, I can't really think about it too long, or else I'm just yeah. Anyways, we're healing, we're getting better. I have to go now, so bye.